Hey, what's happening, gamers? Welcome back to KwingsLetsPlays and the continuation of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Live, brought to you by Capcom, who provided a copy of this game for review, walkthrough, and live streaming dubbing purposes. So, today we are doing Ghost in the Machine.
Thank you, Capcom. Oh, you used a cool title.
I did use a cool title because they talked about the machine thing.
Yeah,
so.
the Ghost in the Machine actually stems back from Rene Descartes. Talking about mind-body dual, like, some kind of philosophical term, but actually it's been used in many, like, weird horror movies and also the X-Files, so I just thought this would be so cool because a guy did die in this machine. So I was like, we need to call this Ghost in the Machine, Luke.
Yep, so anyway, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, helps out a lot, and also consider joining our website, KwingsLetsPlays.com, to sign up for a free newsletter, because it's free, and you find out all the happenings of the channel today.
It's free for everyone but Luke.
So the live streams today, around 8 o'clock, will be Monster Hunter Stories, and then at 10 o'clock will, of course, be more Marvel, and then that's it. And then tomorrow's YouTube short will be about Spider-Man and what's going on with his arms, which I'm not going to spoil it, but it was pretty funny.
Oh, man. I can't believe that Ruga's back because he unsubscribed yesterday.
Yeah, there was a couple people that unsubbed yesterday. Yeah. It's true, says Ryunosuke. It's true,
sorry.
They unsubbed.
I don't think Groot would be a good playable character.
Okay, let's not go there again.
I just don't think that people would play as him.
It's true! Not about Groot, but other stuff. If Drebber had no opportunity to switch the birdcage under the stage with the one in the Crystal Tower, he couldn't have done it! And in any case, I have no idea what this motive might have been.
There is one aspect of your argument, Ryunosuke. That still holds true, however.
Huh? What?
There were two bird cages. The prosecution is unable to deny that.
Ah!
So I'm sure you're on the right lines, Mr. Naruhodo. What did you do without me? And I've no doubt that there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths, too.
Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer. Well, I must say I'm a little surprised. I came here to testify about the machine I built, and instead my reputation is defiled. But the prosecution's counter has set the record straight, I think. It's impossible that I am the culprit.
Objection! Objection!
Man, this dude wants to get caught.
He doesn't care.
Totally. At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there was only one birdcage. Yet now we know there must have been two. In other words, there was more to the demonstration than we realized at first. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit. Get to the point! I'm getting there. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up in its entirety by you, Mr. Drebber. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the events that transpired. So if the circumstances mean it's possible that you could have carried out the crime yourself, it points to the fact that someone else was involved. Someone else, Consul? Are you suggesting? Yes, my lord. Mr. Drebber has an accomplice.
Objection!
An accomplice now. Well then, I presume you're prepared for what's to come. Now that you're accusing not only this witness, but someone else of the most serious of crimes. If these accusations turn out to be false, then make no mistake. The prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander.
Okay. How could you do that, though?
You could. Well then, Consul, you get a fine, or you could be disbarred. Lots of stuff. You intend to pursue this course and formally accuse another party of an involvement in this matter?
Yes!
Okay.
Why not?
What do I do here? At the moment, this is a little more than a hunch of mine, but I don't know for sure if Drebber had an accomplice or even if he really is the culprit here. One way or another, though, I have to make my position clear as a lawyer. So what's my stance going to be? Did Drebber have an accomplice or not?
He had to.
Yeah, I'd have an accomplice. Okay, here we go.
It was Susato!
The defense is ready to name Mr. Drebber's accomplice. Somehow, the two bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. But that inconsistency itself is a clue.
That's right, VG Shine.
Consul!
Bluff your way to victory.
Huh? My lord! You've received a stock warning already. If you have nevertheless determined, then I must now ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. So, your answer, please. Who would you claim to have been Mr. Drebber's accomplice? Well, they said they saw somebody with white hair, right? Before, so the only other person with white hair is Courtney Scythe. I'm trying.
Well, she's mean, so...
She's mean! Show me mean!
Let's go for it. She's a jerk.
The name of the person in question is... What's wrong, my Nipponese friend? Surely fear doesn't bind your tongue. It's a little late for that. Of course I'm afraid. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me.
I'm sure it will be all right, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thank you, Susie.
The enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy.
All right, then. Well, here goes. You've kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, Consul. No! The person who colluded with Mr. Drebber in order to carry out this wicked scheme is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe. What the blazes are you talking about, Dr. Scythe? The head of the forensic investigation team and the coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim. That's right. We know there were two bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in the front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officers included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. When else could the switch have occurred? It only could have been in that team's presence. Very clever. It's essential that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify. You've got nerve, lad! Standing up here, dragging the yard's name through the mud? I didn't mean to. I know the woman very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal?
She's mean, though. She was rude to us.
My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the Far East at night. Huh? But the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. One which the prosecution demands you address at once. A grave problem?
Oh, my word!
Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger? What? Certainly, if the birdcage containing the body of the victim was exchanged for another, the cage must also have contained a body. And yet, no missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim has been reported. Which means there was no one dead or alive who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Asman. Yes, there is. The mannequin.
Dr. Clue says, the waxwork!
If my argument is that there were 2 bird cages, then there must have been 1 person inside each cage. But I don't know if I've got the answer to this yet or not, have I?
Present the evidence? Or...
Yep. I'm gonna say present evidence. It's gonna be the mannequin thing, the waxwork.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even though the waxwork had its face covered, it still would have been around the same body size of the victim.
Yes, it would have, Luke.
And we know that Mr. Drebber stole the head and had it in his apartment, but the body was returned to the wax figure's place, except it was missing a head.
Is the mic not close enough to you?
I'm pretty sure they can hear me just fine.
What about me?
You always have a mousy voice. One of these days we're gonna get 2 microphones, and then you can have one on your other side. Why? That's what Danny and Evelyn do. They have 2 mics. Very well. The defense will address my learned friend's concerns by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Asman's body double. Good gracious! Evidence? I do hope this isn't filibuster, Consul. The court is expecting a name. Yes! If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now! The body double and the bird cage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage, which means that any witness could have seen them from 60 feet away. So who is it that appeared at the explosion some 18 meters above the spectators? Aha! The body double inside the second bird cage was...
The wax man!
Take that!
We know that the victim, Mr. Asman, was in the bird cage that was situated inside the machine on stage, right? Therefore, he couldn't have been inside the second bird cage. Instead, that contains something else. What's been described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into the Crystal Tower. Yes, Consul, well aware, according to your somewhat elaborate version of the events. And that body double inside the second bird cage was, in fact...
It's alright, Mr. Naruhodo. You're ready for this. Just steel yourself and come out with it.
Thank you, Miss Susie. I needed that. As I was saying, the body double inside the second bird cage was... unbelievable as it seems, that thing there!
Whoa! That guy looked bad.
How did they get the whole wax figure?
Objection!
Open your eyes and look into mine, my Nipponese friend.
You're gonna, like, hypnotize us, Dracula. Ooh.
Now tell me, are you sleepy? What are you playing at? Stand firm now, Ryunosuke. This is a time to show your Japanese spirit. As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago, the Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicating the leader of the forensic investigation team as an accomplice in this crime. And now you are moved on to indicating waxworks. Yes, that's about the size of it. But why? And why this waxwork? It is nothing like the victim. In fact, it can hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give? If you want to know why, ask Drebber. What? What? Just days before Professor Harebrain performed his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted his model from Madame Tuspel. Did you just say abducted the wax figure? And 2 days after the incident of the Great Exhibition, he returned it to the museum. Then the timing. Is this true, Mr. Drebber? At first, I couldn't really see why Mr. Drebber could have stolen the wax figure and then given it back. But now, the reason is clear.
Yep.
He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Mr. Asman.
God.
Objection!
Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? That the witness fabricated this vast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. That he did so in conclusion with the country's finest coroner on a public stage in front of a vast audience. And that to effect the deception he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really going to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide?
Objection!
Wait! Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. My lord, I need to speak with you, please. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. Oh, no. Very good. In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your leanings for the court to hear now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Guilty.
Kill me!
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow. Jesse... Oh, bless you. Jesse Grief says, here goes the guilty.
Yep. So as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. I knew that was going to happen.
We shall get through this, Mr. Naruhodo, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way. I'm quite sure. Bless you.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to have to make some tea. I mean, I'm going to have to deal with the jurors as usual. And see if they can persuade them to change their minds. The defense will not embark on a summation examination after the short break. Are you and your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very well, then. In that case, I ask that you clearly state for all present here the grounds on which each of you has decided that the defendant is guilty of the crime on which he is charged. All right, judicial findings. Jurors' contentions. Here we go. I've known that woman for years. Oh, I don't know. I've known that woman for years. She's never been an accomplice to anything. It's utter nonsense to think these two would ever be conniving with one another.
Oh dear, this is the most troubling, but surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it?
I've had my own problems with members of the police. I do not trust them very much.
Since no rigorous proof that this waxwork goes ever inside the birdcage, it's conjecture.
Accusing someone without right evidences is not a proper job, is he? I won't have it.
Dun 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 dun.
How is there a juror under 18 years old?
I don't know. Maybe she's really short for her age.
No, she's obviously 12.
Somewhat unprecisingly, it seems the introduction of this wax figure model to the proceedings has polarized opinions. Given that its face is obscured and its build in a way resembles that of... no way resembles that of the victim.
Oh.
I can only applaud my learned friends, suggesting it as Mr. Asman's body double. Yeah, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know it seems extraordinary. But that's the point. That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes.
What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo?
I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's specific reasons why it was used, why it had to be this model.
Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean?
Yep, and I'm convinced.
Are you okay, Ryunosuke? You sound a little hoarse.
My throat is messed up from yesterday. It's something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim.
Tea, the drink of the sore throat, says Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs.
Yes, agreed. I have to find a way to get rid of this. I have to find a way out of this.
Yes, Iris is also a child. That's a good point.
If you're ready, Consul, you may proceed with the summation examination. Remember, people, this is live, so my throat is in real time. Yes, my lord.
Your throat is cute.
Thank you, sweetie.
But if Groot was a playable character, I would not play him.
He probably will be. The defense's rebuttal.
I'm not gonna play as Groot.
I've known that woman for years. She'd never be an accomplice to anything.
Hold it.
The order of things seems to have changed around here for some reason. I'm a copper lad. It's a copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes when he needs to. What's wrong with it? Where do I start with that?
It's okay to bend the rules?
I have been
What?
working at the yard for 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. We've only had a metropolitan police service in town for 70 years, you know. Of course, times have changed. Public didn't trust the coppers back when it just started. It was rough. We had to fight crime, and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well.
I'll shut the
And
window.
when we did.
So you can't hear the crickets.
Huh?
They're outside.
People can hear the crickets? Okay, sweetie. Forensic science was in its infancy too, even more than it is now. And she spearheaded the revolution. Dr. Scythe, you mean? That's right. About 10 years ago now. It was when I was still a youngish bobby. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her, head of the forensic investigation team. And a woman no less. Well, you must hear me complain. It's what we all dream of back then, I tell you. Can you tell me without holding that gun in the air, please? We were all just upload justice, lad. Full of whim. We will, full of vim. I have no idea where you're coming from, but alright, I understand loud and clear. It's utter nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another.
Hold it.
But we're only just starting to understand the case, sir. What are you reading there, sir? The man behind those murders on Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Scythe in charge of examining the bodies. And it was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh. That's right. Oh. That woman is the forefront of this country's fight against crime.
Yeah, but she could also be causing...
The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is a load of old tosh. I actually think I have a theory. While I sip my tea. So,
Alright.
basically, remember how important they said that England is going to be leading the charge with all this forensic stuff? What if they committed this crime so they could make it look like the forensic team? Because, like they said, this guy has been dodging justice. What if the police found a way to execute this guy, and the forensic team was responsible, and then by using the forensic stuff to prove that the scientist was the one responsible, when they present their findings at this, special crime conference in a month or two, this will spearhead the ability to do this new type of investigation procedures, because it'll look like, because it was
So
able to solve the crime.
basically, they've been trying to get this mobster guy for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And
Why
then-
else would she jeopardize her career?
And then basically what they did was they just killed him. And then they used their forensics to make it look like, wow, that's really dark.
Well, I mean, right now forensic science isn't really recognized in the policing world, so I mean, it's just a theory, but I thought it was up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around.
Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the worksfolk the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it?
Hold it!
Huh?
Why would you assume that?
Because, well, simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with that woman, does he? I don't know.
True. As it stands, we don't know of any connection. That's right.
Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were somehow to have a mutual interest in that waxwork.
Huh?
Romantic?
Romantic? What?
I don't want to know. A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know.
Well, you learn something new every day, even if you don't want to.
One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this coroner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor there.
This woman may be more astute than I had been giving her credit for.
And that's the woman's stance? I mean, if that's the woman's stance, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. Scythe would be enough.
Yeah, I agree. As soon as we have a whiff of a connection, she'll be the first to know. Okay. I have had my own problems with members of the police. I bet you have. You look like Snidely Whiplash. What sort of problems? Let's just say we have run into each other on numerous occasions while I've been performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences, so we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners, and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Sometimes they even cook up a story to extort monies from the poor. And what's going on with this?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Ottermole? Who are you calling a mass murderer? What? Sorry? My mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him. I don't do anything like the man. You want to be locked up there, Sonny?
Oops.
Thanks, Mr. Sholmes.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. And clearly you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this. What was it like, sir? We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust, we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then. Respected you? No one would have called the coroner into question in them days. The coroner's report was the hallmark of the investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name on it. She was the best of the best, and the apple of the force's eye.
Hold it.
Hang on a second. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Oh, sorry. Got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Scythe's maiden name. Her maiden name? So that was before she was married. Of course. Silly me. It's Scythe now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere before. Anyway, the point is, those were great days of policing, not like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir, but do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Well, yes. I don't see why not. She was Courtney Stevens back when I knew her. Of course, legendary coroner even now.
Hold it.
She was legendary, was she? What did you say? Ah! That woman is still the best coroner in the land. Head of the forensic investigation team, I might add. Oh, legendary was your description, sir? Not mine. Rubbish! That word never passed my lips. I'd never describe anybody that way, ever. Even if it were still in the game. Huh?
I thought he said that she was legendary, though.
I think the point you're trying to make is Dr. Scythe is an extremely talented coroner. Would that be fair? It would. If it weren't for the fact that you're trying to drag that legendary woman's reputation through the mud.
You just said you never used the word legendary.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that legendary thing again. It's utter nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another. I think we did, everybody.
I don't think you did the press the old man or the little girl.
True.
I've seen no rigorous proof that...
But you claim that the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick.
That I did, but there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there?
Sorry?
I grant you, given that this cage appeared from amidst of the explosion, there'd have to be no need to use a real person.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you speak up?
There would have to be, but if a waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have the decency to make it look like the victim.
I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency, sir.
The point is, if you're gonna make a claim about that waxwork being used inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's not science.
I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But perhaps that means his mind could change if we manage to present suitable evidence.
Evidence that Professor Waxwork was inside that birdcage. Can I produce that or not? I'm gonna bluff. Actually, I have something I'd like to show you, sir.
Oh! I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats.
Okay.
Given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here.
Aren't you wearing black, dude, though?
Yeah. So, you don't trust anyone in black. Looking in the mirror must be very tiring, then.
Yep.
Alright, I do have some evidence that proves the waxwork was inside that birdcage. And tea is a miracle drug that helps your throat. Look at that. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? Piece of broken glass. We could try that. That was found. A small fragment of very unusual and thick glass that was found in the folds of the clothing of Professor Waxwork.
Yeah. I like doing.
Take that!
You okay?
Yeah, I just feel like a little nauseous today.
Still? Okay.
What's that? A piece of glass? Oh, it's unusually thick for glass.
Yes, it's a piece of a broken glass that we found inside the jacket of the waxwork. As you say, it's no ordinary glass, though. It's very thick and clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower.
The Crystal Tower? Holy smoke!
Exactly! The centerpiece of the Great Exhibition where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through the window of that special glass.
From whence this small piece originated? Is that it?
Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that clear evidence in support of your assertion has been placed before you.
Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it of your coat. In light of what you've shown me, yes, I feel obliged to change my position at this matter.
In that case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please.
The presence of that piece of glass leaves me in little doubt that the Waxworth was indeed inside that birdcage.
Okay.
Interesting.
Dun 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 dun. Am I supposed to press him again?
Hold it!
Thank you for reconsidering your position, sir.
Your words are... I know he's a male, guys. I'm trying to do my best. Luke can't do all the voices.
Your words are misplaced, boy. My opinion is governed by logic and science, nothing else. Yes, science is where you should direct your words of gratitude.
Ah!
No, guys, Luke couldn't have done juror number 4 because he's already doing like 7,000 other people.
7, honey.
What's the matter with you? Too good to say some words of thanks to the mother of all academic subjects?
What is it about scientists? Honestly, I don't understand. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, little girl.
Accusing someone without right evidences. He's not a proper job, is he?
I've got to ask, why have you brought that corn into the court with you, little girl?
Colonel Cobb. He's been growing back on my farm. Picked him off on the way to town. He's a proper nibbler, he is.
Yes, the nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe we could wait until after the trial?
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. You need colonels at all times like these. Whenever I have a summit big to decide, the colonels always point me in the right direction, see?
You're talking about your cob of corn?
That's who I ask what the answer is, my corn. Nibbly, nibbly, gibbly, hobble, nibbly, not guilty out. Nibbly, nobble, guilty, bubble, nibbledy and not guilty out. Nibbledy, nobbledy, guilty, bubble, nibble, not guilty out. Nibble, nobble, guilty, bubble, nibble, not guilty out.
Perhaps it's akin to fortune telling with flower petals, like people do back home.
Ah, so Professor Hairbrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn? Could you not at least wait until you've had more time to find the truth before deciding the defendant's guilt?
Oh, I don't know about that. My tum's awfully full already.
I'm amazing.
Maze is in corn.
Yeah, maze is another term for corn. I know it seems a little far-fetched to think that the waxwork model Professor whatever was in that bird cage. Though, on the other hand, it explains a lot.
If there really is a reason why that particular waxwork had to be used as Mr. Asmon's double, we must do everything we can to make the jurors understand that.
The truth is, I'm sure that's The truth is, I'm sure that's the key to this, but it's the most puzzling part of it, too.
In that case, you should see what the additional information you can glean whilst trying to change the jurors' minds is. You can read a book while eating a rice cracker, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sure you can do this.
Right. Yes.
Wait, she's saying because you can eat a book. What?
I have no idea. Alright, I think it's time to pit some jurors against each other. Let's try...
She's eating corn, and the other guy, Ben Zeeks, is drinking and throwing it at the fire. She's,
oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the corner.
Neither one of these statements have anything to do with each other, so... Let's try this. Oh wait, they're both about the corner. Somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Gracious! Whose statements should you refer there, Consul? So, juror number 2.
Oh gosh, me? What can I do for you?
I presume that you've heard that juror number 6 said in his statement. It's brought to light that the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before.
Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But, oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean.
Dr. Scythe's maiden name is Stevens. And, through the name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it.
My goodness, evidence, you say? How utterly enthralling.
Consul, the court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope that there's a substance to your claim. Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. The evidence that clearly links Dr. Scythe to the mass murderer known as the Professor. Oh, autopsy.
Evidence that clearly links Dr. Scythe.
Death by hanging confirmed at midnight. Courtney Stevens. I guess. I mean, it says her name.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago. A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have? It's, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor.
Oh.
The Professor? Well, the man was a capital offender, so... Yeah, that's right. This is a certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens.
Oh my! Courtney Stevens?
Strike a light! It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber, a few days ago, Drebber deliberately stole the wax figure of the professor from Madame Tuspel. A wax figure that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Asman, at all.
And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between these events?
Absolutely. I'm sure of it. And there's no doubt in my mind that the professor's case is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover. Between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obliged now to explore this further. It seems like that lady is dressed up for a fancy ball.
Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while there's a cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. It wasn't like that in my day, but we're still here to uphold justice now.
But look, a lot of them look like they're in their Sunday best. She's wearing like a really... I mean, look at the necklace. Look at the jewels. It's a professor. That's what links that frightful swindler in the corner.
Oh my gosh. Alright, that was easy. Juror number... No. He has a thing with the police, so that's not gonna work. Presence of that piece of glass leaves me in little doubt. Okay.
Yeah, guys, and also, I'm not really doing the best with the voices because I'm not feeling the best today, so... I'm gonna be doing my streams today and then going to bed early after my... We're doing the Silver Leo stream today. So after that one, I'm probably gonna leave Luke in the high and dry and go to sleep.
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! Whose statements did you randomly pick, Consul? I chose juror number 4 and 5. Because, I don't know. I'm guessing. If you could put down your corn for a moment, juror number 5.
Yum yum yum, nibbly. Oh, you mean me?
You pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the wax figure model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the jurors sitting beside you.
Oh, is that right?
Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument?
I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest. Colonel Cobb is yummy.
Of course you don't.
If I could interject here.
Please do.
Now that this assertion is yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence. Would be wrong of me as a man of science not to pursue the matter further.
Yes, I know my voice for that guy is terrible, but it helps Luke give him a chance to take a drink of tea.
I can't do him anyway. There's too many.
Ah, well, me too then.
Sorry?
If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then he must be. See, I'm only 12. I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got stuffing between the ears. Oh!
Okay. Success! If you can call it that. Alright then, thank you, Consul, that will do. As a result of the summation examination, the judge's overall leaning has changed. 2 of the judges now call guilty, and against 4 who now call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at this time. And the trial must continue. We did it?
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Another wonderful victory.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Uh-oh.
What?
Something's wrong with the computer again. The waxwork of despicable is the professor.
It's probably going out of batteries.
It shouldn't be going out of batteries, though. I never do anything to unplug it in. Used as a body double for the victim is quite extraordinary case. I must say it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true, and yet, here it is. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation. It's the wax figure of the professor that links Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link. I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't.
The truth, sir, by using evidence and testimony.
If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the wax figure in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the motto to be summoned as a witness. The owner? Yes, Madame Tuspel. Ah! I really thought that Lord Van Zeeks would object to this whole line of inquiry.
I know.
Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tushbells to appear as a witness with immediate effect. Yes, I will do just that, my honor. Listen carefully, my learned friend. Yes? You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box.
Amber, get your French accent ready. Okay, candle in the dark.
The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand. Madame Tuspel, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord. Or rather, my assistant shall.
I feel like being a lawyer is a job I could completely do. Look at it, they take breaks all the time.
I don't know.
45-minute breaks randomly, I'd be like, score.
Score.
I'm just gonna take a nap.
Okay. You've already had a nap today. Save your progress, yes.
Oh, it's not real 45 minutes.
No, it's not a real 45 minutes.
It's just a game 45 minutes.
Alright, story continues. The antechamber, and I need to just polish off the rest of my tea, guys, real quick.
If the kid has infinite corn, maybe they have infinite mashed potatoes with different toppings. Whoa, that sounds delicious, Robloxian. Recess, that's right, OH.
October 24th, 11:53 a.m. The Old Bailey defendant's antechambers. Ah, the knight errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs, as a spectator at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
I have to ask. What on earth is going on? That makes no sense. What is this professor business all about? He doesn't look anything like any professor I've met before. Who is even him?
I thought it was Professor Moriarty, but...
It's supposed to be Professor Moriarty. Ah, of course. You're in Germany already. 10 years ago, right? Yes, the professor... Well, when I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. But who knew the monster would come knocking at our door? My heartfelt sympathies. I have no idea. As it turns out, Lord Van Zeeks is even immediately tied to this case than any of us realized. Isn't he?
Yes, how true. His great friend from the university in the dock.
And now a waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in the front of a man. You make it sound deliberate.
I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling.
Oh, yes. In what particular manner, my dear Susie?
Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Mr. Scythe, and Lord Van Zeeks.
She's a miss. Dr. Scythe.
Oh, Dr. Scythe. Sorry, she's intimidating. I thought she was a man. Seems that everyone in the trial has a link to the case somehow.
Yes. In fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me as an empty set all alone with no intersection to any other. Huh? Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Oh, never mind. Dr. Scythe! Ah, Courtney Scythe. And Stevens. Good day to you.
Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you.
What in particular, pray?
You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you?
Why would you assume such a thing, my dear Stevens?
Because we definitely used to date. It's in our body language. Because Gregson told me.
Ah, Gregson.
That fiend. To think it's been 10 years, Sholmes. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant.
A policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you, as it so happens, Dr. Scythe. I'd have accused you of being complicit in what happened. And I've accused you. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened.
That certainly won't be possible.
Huh?
Lord Van Zeeks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it.
Lord Strongheart?
The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. But please, don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice! I've always fought crime in the way that I see fit. I have no regrets. None at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you. So, but you have to fight crime the way the law sees fit, lady.
She mentioned it too, this Pandora's box.
Whatever does it all mean?
There's really no cause for concern, I assure you. When the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you'd like it or not. Huh? Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits. I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little bit too much there, Sholmes. Ah, yes, one word of warning before I go. If in the course of the trial this afternoon you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand? Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Alright, I understand. Thank you,
To the bitter
Sholmes.
end.
Good. I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I will be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth. Okay.
But how can she just not show up? What if she really did it? What if she was an accomplice?
I think she is. Like I said, I think the police are in it. I think Gregson's in it. I think the Lord Chief Justice. I think the reason why they're doing this is so that they can prove that the forensic evidence that they used in order to convince the court that the professor, like from Germany, was guilty of this crime when he was innocent, is so when they have that conference in 1 or 2 months with all these different police from all over the world, like talking about new types of crime fighting techniques, is to put London at the forefront of this new forensic stuff like finger analysis and
based on
chemicals,
a lie.
but based on a lie, yeah. But they need a really hardcore case in order to do this.
But this guy is definitely innocent. He didn't know that, like, that guy would die or anything. He didn't even think the guy would die.
That is my inner detective, like, being like, there's something very suspicious about all this. What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Especially that bit about whatever may come to pass. So Sholmes knows something too.
Yeah.
Or at least
He's not in on it. He's not on the... He doesn't get paid by the Royal Police Force or
No,
whatever.
he's a private investigator. Zelda, why are you balding?
It's time for the final chapter then.
No, I don't think so. It's time for the final chapter of this case. I'm determined to find the truth. No matter what.
She's fine. That's just her fur is weird. It was just flipped up in a weird way.
Isn't it weird how she's just sitting on one of my legs?
I don't know. Your other leg is too... She can't sit on the other one. It's too far up.
I know, it's just kind of funny. 24th of October, 12:40 p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Consuls for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to continue this rumble in my courtroom?
Drago says Sholmes is a private eye.
Yeah. The prosecution is ready again, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready. As the court is aware, this case under our scrutiny began with the damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Now we find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectations, as it seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord. So then, let us begin our exploration. Let us begin with the defense's assertion that the waxwork was carnally involved in this matter. Lord Banzix? Yes, my lord. Are we all still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tushbell? Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned. Very good then. All right. Bring in the witness. At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tushbell to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. If Drebber is responsible, I'm sure he is. It means he must have an accomplice, and it's Dr. Scythe.
And what connects the pair of them? It's the waxwork.
Waxwork. Yes, the model of the professor. That's the key to the link between those otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present, it's all we have to go on.
Yeah, this game, the case is getting exciting, Christina. I agree. It keeps getting more and more, the cases keep getting better. That's...
State your name and occupation for the court, please.
My name is Madame Esmeralda Tespez. I am a waxwork artist. Ah, darn it, this is gonna be it. And the proprietress of Madame Tespez Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must open very soon. It's Shom's face.
Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are two of them in the world.
Oh my! What expression she is carving into that face!
Give me my papers, thank you, assistant. A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this?
Oui, that is true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped.
A waxwork model kidnapped?
Yes, my lord. There was a demand for ransom money left behind the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim.
At present, this is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Osman.
Yes, but of course, I knew him well. He is a part of my odious personages exhibit. I detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Osman does not resemble the professor at all.
Yes, but perhaps their faces are very similar.
Are you suggesting that we should see now the damasked visage of the professor? I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock.
This is absurd.
Pardon?
I don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure beneath that mask. But clearly, it won't be that of one of the actual killer. Indeed, the man's identity was never made public after all. The trial took place in a closed courtroom. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that,
A repository of tawdry.
What repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hand on that information?
Que dommage. It would seem that you are unaware of the Tespez principles.
What principles?
The family Tespez has always prided itself on sculpting its models à la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. And voila, our principles. There is a well-known legend about the Tespez waxworks from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tespez family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed. Oui, that is true. It was a century ago. I believe the queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death, actually at the guillotine site. You are correct, Susie. The model is on display still today in my house of horrors. We Tespez will stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of our subjects.
Dear me, that's disturbing. I am deeply disturbed.
It is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation of the subject. And it has been my family's secret for generations.
Do you mean to say that beneath that mask?
Oui. The true visage of the killer is there.
This is ludicrous. It is out of the question.
The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain, and as a result, the Madame Tussper's special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer emerging from his own grave. It is a sight to behold. You should come.
Nice little promotion there. I think, madam, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter instead of promoting your business.
It's 50% off every Friday night.
I said don't promote! No self-promotion. You will explain every detail this model of horror and your personal involvement in its creation.
With a pleasure.
Wait, she was there for his execution?
She must have somehow been able to get in the room.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
her family member.
The Professor Waxwork.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse, in accordance with Tussper's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head of the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until he gave me a signal, and I was there for a very long time that night in the graveyard. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered.
Oh my gosh.
She is some kind of crazy.
The Gravedigger, the man sanctioned this?
I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew, only the gravedigger. What harm will they do? Huh?
You truly saw it. The face of the monster.
Naturally. I was unaware at the time that his identity was a secret. But Tussper's would not be Tussper's if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures and their faces.
I don't believe these. I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, madam. A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave.
The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from the time. This special exhibit was based upon a picture in this article. It was the most detailed account of what happened, as reported by the eyewitness who saw it.
Oh my gosh, 10-year-old. I mean, what they probably saw about was the gravedigger lifting the corpse out of the ground and then her taking, like, a sketch of his face or something. So it looked like he rose from the grave when, you know, that guy who was just walking the grounds ran into it. That'd be my guess. Like, there were two gravediggers, maybe. Man arises from grave. It's too absurd for words.
The public enjoy absurdity, monsieur. That is why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum.
And it's a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it?
That is correct. The professor you see before you here.
Most puzzling. All right. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination, if you please.
Why can't she unlock his face?
It would be national security. This waxwork links Drebber to Dr. Scythe, eh? And there has to be some reason for it, which hasn't yet come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. I'll prove that Dr. Scythe and Drebber were in on this crime together. Okay then.
Oh wow, that's creepy. Candle in the dark. Says the original waxworks were actually death masks from the French Revolution for people that died of the guillotine. Wow.
Ugh.
Sorry.
And the rumor would be...
I forgot to say her line.
A 10-year-old tale now, but one that no Londoner could ever forget.
All right, I knew what you're talking about, I think.
Of course, it could be anything else.
Yes, that story never will disappear.
The tale of the condemned killer rising from the dead. That is the essential attraction of my House of Horrors. The rumor was whispered all over the city, and it was like this. It was in Lowgate Cemetery, behind the prison, in the dead of night after the execution of the killer. The entailed professor slid back the stone slab covering his tomb and emerged from his grave. A young man who witnessed it felt a scream welling up inside of him, but an instant later he heard an ear-splitting gunshot from over his shoulder. The bullet struck the emerging corpse, and he fell motionless once more into the ground. The scream finally found its way from the mouth of the young witness, who turned and ran for his life.
So he didn't die from the hanging. Somebody shot him.
Yeah.
The corpse climbed out of his own grave?
And then somebody shot him? Who? Who was it? Nobody knows, even today. But remember, it was just a rumor, perhaps nothing more than a ghost story. The good people of London, they love stories like this. That is why it was in every newspaper across the capital. Ah, Zelda loves ghost stories too.
But it's just a story, right?
Or is it, Ryunosuke?
I mean, this is exactly the scene that can be seen today at your museum, isn't it?
Wait, the special exhibit was modeled on that very illustration. For a while afterwards, the content of that article were reproduced in every newspaper imaginable. Madam, might I say something? Please, go ahead, mademoiselle. When something is described as a rumor, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's entirely made up. I believe that often, rumors contain elements of the truth. I see that people from the East can be just as astute as the people of Europe. Can we be sure, for instance, that the professor's execution was successful? It is not possible for the dead to come back to life.
Sorry.
10 years ago, I was there in Lowgate Cemetery, after the criminal known as the professor was killed by hanging. I took a wax impression of his visage from the corpse just before it was interred in the ground. So I can assure you, the man was dead.
I see. It would certainly appear that the condemned man suffered the intended fate. Good. I never liked that guy. He killed my brother.
So then how did... An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse, in concordance with the Trespass family principles.
Is that true of every waxwork in your museum, then?
It is, assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all the time, you know. I'm sorry, criminals.
What sort of letters?
When my time comes, please make a waxwork of me. Komeka.
No!
My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals, a symbol of status even.
Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax.
And it is thanks to one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the star of the special exhibit, of course, the professor.
Whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual corpse.
There are no exceptions to the principles of Trespass, monsieur.
So she was there 10 years ago and took those. Wow.
Wait, so she's older than she looks.
She's gotta be in her 30s, maybe early 40s. I don't know.
Yep. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before interment.
If she's the same age as Sherlock Holmes, then I'm gonna say she's probably 40 or like 35. So when she was like in her 20s, she snuck into the graveyard. Because he was also a young detective at that point. He's supposed to be like in his either early 40s in this game or late 30s. So 10 years ago, he would have been, you know, in his 20s. Surely that's illegal, isn't it? It would seem the proprietress of Respiratory of Novelties was blinded by momentary greed.
It had nothing to do with money. The man is part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to sculpt him, to record this history. So it's her job to record history. Is the raison d'etre of the Suspects Museum.
But if the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, then surely nobody but members of the judiciary present would know the killer's true identity. Judiciary, sorry.
I assure you, behind that mask is hidden the true face of the professor.
Do you realize what you're saying? The professor's identity is a national secret.
I understand. And now that the truth about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close.
But of course it will, as will your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madam.
That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think. Don't you?
So 10 years ago, on the night of the professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse.
Oui, exactement. I hid myself until he gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time that night.
Hold it!
Huh?
You were there longer than you expected to be?
I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. As I removed the mask, the mouth of the cadaver fell open, and I had problems with the chin.
Dare I ask?
The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing, and consequently, his chin would not align itself correctly. Oh dear, what a horrible thought! Under normal circumstances, I would have an assistant with me. However, that night, I was alone, and as of consequence, I missed my preferred window of time.
What do you mean? And what's with the creepy music?
When I take the impression of a visage of cadaver, I always wait until 3 hours after death.
Why 3 hours? Is that moment of time significant?
Well, it is because of rigor mortis.
Regular what?
It is the name given to a phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies, Ryunosuke. As a rule, 3 hours past death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. By approximately 10 hours past death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert back to their relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when a body is discovered.
Ah, that's... Well, that was educational. If a slightly scary one.
Nothing phases Susie.
Nope.
As the mademoiselle says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death, and it starts in the jaw.
I see. So that's why you wait.
Before that time, the mouth falls open, and it is very difficult to do my work.
Oh, it's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. I wonder about the information the court just heard from Madame Tuspel, though. I would say it's significant. Then the information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us, would you mind including it in your formal testimony? I believe it could be significant, you see.
Of course, I do not mind at all. I can't help feeling that after this latest topic, the atmosphere in the courtroom has become extremely grave.
Oh, okay.
Ba-doom.
All right, Susie.
Nice one,
This
Susie.
is no time for jokes, Susie. Especially grave ones.
Come on, Ryunosuke. I'm just trying to make a laugh.
Madam, kindly amend your testimony as discussed, please.
Bien sûr. It took me a very long time because it was before the onset of rigor mortis.
Okay. Let's go with... You know what? I want to ask her one more thing.
As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered. Huh?
You say that dawn was approaching. What was the time of day then, approximately?
Well, I could not say, but when I left the cemetery with my utensils and wax, the morning light was becoming visible.
The execution took place on June 17th, which had the earliest sunrise of that year. Indeed it did. First light would have been around 4:40 in the morning. That really is early.
The fact is, I had very little time, so I finished my work in half an hour. It was necessary to complete the impression and bury the body back before daybreak, of course. If someone had discovered me there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry.
Is it me, or does Mr. Sholmes seem to be taking shape more quickly now, too? You certainly appear to go to extraordinary lengths for your work, madam. I wonder, is what she just said particularly significant? Yeah.
That was a grave mistake, Susato.
Madam,
Definitely
those details about how long it took you to complete the sculpture in the early sunrise, could you include them in your testimony? I believe that may be significant as well.
Of course. If you would like me to. You're quite right, Mr. Naruhodo. It is intriguing. A sunrise at 4 in the morning would be absolutely unimaginable at home, wouldn't it?
That's not quite what I meant by significant, but okay. All right then, kindly amend your formal testimony then again, madam.
With pleasure, my lord.
Okay.
I hurried to finish my work in a half an hour before sunrise. Then I left as soon as the corpse was interred.
Okay.
May I say, this lady is so cute. Her pink hair, she's just adorable.
Yeah, she's very adorable dressed as a witch and, like, sculpting dead people.
I think I would be her friend. She seems cool.
I don't know.
It took me a very long time because it was before the onset of rigor mortis, you see.
I feel like we need to present some evidence or something.
Yeah, and just so people know, like, I mean, I'm 90,000, and not 90,000, but I'm 90% sure she's not a witch. She just kind of wears this weird costume to look creepy in her shop. She could be a witch, but I really don't think she is.
No.
She's kind of like, her family just has a long history of making faces of dead people to record history, so she's kind of morbid. But she, even now, like, people were asking, why is she sculpting? She works very hard at her job. She's always working, like, every day.
Why does that say that happened at midnight?
Death by hanging confirmed at midnight. Courtney Stevens. Which...
What did she just say? It took me a very long time before it was before the onset of rigor mortis. Well, if he died...
3 hours. 3 hours of midnight.
So she would have been there around 3 a.m., not 4 in the morning. I don't know.
No, I mean... They said it takes 3 hours for rigor mortis to set in. If the guy was... This is so dark. If the guy was killed at midnight, then when she was there around 3 in the morning, then he should have been rigor mortis.
We don't have any strikes yet, right?
He should have been all rigid.
Right.
At 3 in the morning, but she said he wasn't. So that's weird.
Okay.
I think that does contradict it, but I don't know.
Okay, so we have full life, so let's give it a shot. See if I'm right.
Exactly. She's one of the earliest cosplayers. You got it, Matthew.
Madam Tuspels. I have here an autopsy report that was 15 years ago filled now. 10 years ago. It confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows.
And? Is that a problem?
I believe it is, because your testimony and a particular detail in the report completely contradicts one another.
Ooh!
Are you going to explain yourself, my Nipponese friend? According to her testimony, Madame Tuspel was creating her wax impression just before dawn. At that time, rigor mortis had not yet set in. Am I correct, madam?
You are, yes. As I said, the stiffening of the jaw is the first sign of rigor mortis 2 to 3 hours after death. But the man's chin was limp, so he could not have been dead for a long time.
But on the other hand, if you look at Dr. Seiss' report, it quite clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, June 17th. No! If the professor indeed died at midnight that day, then by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would already have set in.
What? Yes, you were right. The chin, it would have been completely stiff.
In other words, this report is wrong.
Objection!
No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. That is, the very idea is absurd. In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. The execution didn't exactly take place at the stated time.
So
Impossible!
So there was corruption from the police even 10 years ago, maybe. Maybe they lied about that.
Order, counsel, this is beyond folly! Not only you indicate the author of the report, Dr. Scythe, but you implicate members of the staff at the prison where the execution took place? By heck! Extraordinary! Not in my day!
Objection!
My learned friend appears to have overlooked one very crucial fact. What fact? The professor died that night, without question.
He did, of course he did. I moved the man's limp jaw with my own hands. There was
Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows? Didn't die at the... Are you insane? What exactly are you suggesting did happen in that case? It's almost impossible to believe, but it would explain the link. The article about seeing the guy get killed, rising from his grave. So somebody killed the dude. Between Dr. Scythe and the professor, that one other person of interest. I have evidence that will explain exactly what I'm suggesting happened that night.
Oh my gosh.
Counsel, present the evidence at once. Evidence that allegedly explains what really happened the night of the professor's execution. Do we have like a newspaper or something?
Yeah, so for people that were confused what I was saying, I think her witch outfit is kind of like a cosplay outfit. Like kind of like to make it her, you know, to make her place that she runs more fun. You know what I mean? Okay, so what were we doing? The evidence that allegedly explains what really...
Take that!
What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. Executed criminal returns from the dead at local cemetery. You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead now? Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again.
Objection!
Don't be a fool, that's simply a rumor published by the gutter press. Can you be certain of that? Are you serious? The point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened. My word, yes, indeed.
Mom, the young man who stole into the cemetery by chance that night?
Objection!
Of course, there was a witness. The story didn't write itself, but obviously that man made it all up. And in any case, this was 10 years ago now. There'd surely be no hope of finding him.
We
Wrong.
do know who it is.
On the contrary, my lord, we all know who this witness is very well. What? Are you suggesting, Counsel, that you have identified the person in question? That you know the man who claims to have seen this utterly incredible event take place? Yes, my lord. In fact, you could say that he's right here before my very own eyes. You will substantiate your claims right now, Counsel. Who is the alleged person? A staggering scene from the cemetery. It even says his name Drebber in the article.
Take that!
The man in question is Enoch Drebber. Drebber? The previous witness? The special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Tussbell's Museum of Waxwork recreates that decade-old scene in great detail. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Wow.
Order! Order! Surely not, Consul. Drebber was there, in the cemetery.
What is this? Talk about Mr. Drebber. Is the name significant?
Of course, Madame Tussbell doesn't know, does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, madam. To your situation as well, in fact.
What situation?
The theft of the Professor Waxwork from your museum some days ago was done by the very same man.
No! But what would that mean?
Madame Tussbell, it would appear you know the name Enoch Drebber.
Yes, I know it. But from a long ago in the past.
What?
Oh my!
Good gracious! What's going on? Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know.
Yes. Yes, of course. The story of the young man and the terrible sight he witnessed in a cemetery 10 years ago was published in every single newspaper in London and throughout Great Britain. However, in all of the articles, the witness was simply described as a certain young man. No details were published about his identity. His name was never revealed. That is, apart from in one newspaper. The Daily Circus. It is the paper from which comes the article that I have already shown in court.
You're saying that his full name was only published in one article? Good gracious me! Yes, that it is! The university student who experienced this shocking event is Mr. Enoch Drebber, a disciple of science at the University of London and a resident of its student dorms. Unbelievable!
And then, when I read this article, I went to meet with the man. His discovery of the condemned criminal coming back to life in the cemetery in the dead of night would make a perfect exhibit for my House of Horrors, whether it was true or not.
I see. So you went to meet Mr. Drebber in order to scope a waxwork of the man, did you?
Exactement. He was studying science at the University of London in those days. He was just a poor student, though. I paid him £5 to model for my waxwork. And since that time, it has been in my museum to recreate the scene of terror from the cemetery.
Wow. Very interesting. Doesn't seem like okay. So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about an extraordinary event he witnessed. A criminal who had been put to death re-emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote, and that was soon forgotten. 10 years later, the same man steals a wax figure of the executed criminal to use as a body double for the victim in the case we're discussing here today. Even though the wax figure build is a poor match for the victim and its face is obscured by a mask. So the question is, why would the man do such a thing? Which brings us to 3 days ago when the birdcage crashed in the Crystal Tower. If the birdcage had in fact contained not the body of Mr. Asman, but that same wax figure, the coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated Dr. Scythe would have noticed immediately. And yet, she submitted the autopsy report for the victim with the court as seen earlier. Why? Because the wax figure was that of the professor, is that what you're saying? Dr. Scythe put her name to the document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who was still alive. A criminal whose apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Drebber. But that misconduct was a deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect. Which is precisely why Mr. Drebber used that particular wax figure as the body double. Yeah! I'm totally lost. I don't know.
I just looked at the chat for a second and completely missed what.
My lord, this court must summon Dr. Scythe to the stand. The defense is determined to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Drebber are connected. Blessed! According to the I've received the message this morning through the prosecutor's office, Dr. Scythe is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case?
She told us so herself, didn't she?
Yep.
Lord Van Zeeks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it.
Lord Strongheart?
Of course. The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it from me.
Something happened on the night of that killer's execution 10 years ago, and surely nobody would want to get to the bottom of it more than Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution calls forth the instructions in that missive to be scrapped. What? But Lord Van Zeeks, that issue came from the Lord Chief Justice. That came from the Lord Chief Justice's office. I don't care. The assigned prosecutor has the final say on policy in any particular trial.
Whoa, how bold of
In
Van
other
Zeeks.
words, me! Yes! Let Enoch Drebber and Dr. Scythe both take the stand together. Whoa. Order! Order! Very well, I'll uphold your request. Bailiff! Send a subpoena with immediate effect addressed to Dr. Scythe of the Forensic Investigation Team. The woman is compelled to attend on Her Majesty's orders.
Oh, wow.
All right, then. Enoch Drebber and Dr. Scythe. If they weren't colluding with one another, this crime could never have been committed. I'm just a stone throws away. I can feel it. The truth behind all of this is about to come out.
Fiji Shine says, screw the rules, I have vintage wine. Lord Van Zeeks.
Yep. Thank you for your attendance at such a short notice, Dr. Scythe.
I'm disappointed in you, Lord Van Zeeks. You've completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecutor's office.
I don't care. Betrayal is not in my nature, as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there is even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter whom it concerns or disgrunts, I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as would any prosecutor worth his salt. Mr. Drebber, you took the victim's life by means of a machine that you constructed in your workshop. And Dr. Scythe, as the investigation coroner, you were the first one on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and were both complicit in this crime.
And where's your evidence?
At present, we have no definitive evidence, but we do have a very significant clue.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking, of course, about the wax figure. This model of the killer known as the Professor, who was sentenced to death 10 years ago.
You don't need to tell me. I witnessed the man's execution with my own eyes and officially pronounced him dead.
That remains to be seen, actually.
Is that so?
Yes. According to the newspaper reports from the time, on the night following his execution, the killer came back to life.
Don't waste my time.
I'm sorry. And the sole witness to that mysterious event was you, Mr. Drebber, wasn't it? In what you saw in the graveyard that night 10 years ago wasn't some chilling fiction, but reality. It would make you privy to very great secret of Dr. Seiss. A secret so profound, it could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate in your evil scheme, in fact. Mr. Drebber, tell the court, tell everyone the truth of what you saw that night in Lowgate Cemetery.
Tell them.
So he was the student who saw it?
Oh, you can see the resemblance actually, can't you? The man of Madame Taspel's wax thing.
Surely he's going to claim that wasn't really what he saw, especially not after all these years. He is such a research student at the university.
And a bit too clever for his own good, if you ask me.
Ka.
Why is he part robot, though?
Yeah, I don't know. What an interesting twist. Huh? When, at the time, not one person would take me seriously. Yet now, here we are 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters, and in a court of law, too. Very well, then, if everyone so wishes. Let's be frank. I will tell you the truth of what happened the night, for what it's worth. Are they a married couple?
I don't
So,
know.
Mr. Drebber, your testimony, please, about the events of that night, 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery. Of course, as you wish.
It's okay, his gears get jumbled sometimes.
Yeah, his gears get messed up sometimes.
Why is he part robot, though?
I don't know. But anyway, that's a good place to stop.
Aww.
In the cemetery 10 years ago. That's where we'll be leaving off tomorrow.
Also, storyboard writing says these two cases get in-depth and conspiracy-like. I can't wait for the K-Wings to finish it.
Yup.
Scythe and Drebber, how those two hide their dark secrets inside their hearts, says Billy.
I don't know. I still say the Chief Justice is involved somehow. The fact that he issued an order so that the coroner responsible for the event from 10 years ago wouldn't testify. I still think that this is a big conspiracy case in order to further the forensic science, which is scoffed upon. Like, people won't use for police work, like the finger. Remember how all the previous cases, it's like a lot of these events could have been solved if they could have used like fingerprints for evidence in the courtroom and all this other stuff. Like, they would have been able to nail all these corrupt people. So, like, they're doing something that's really evil in order to pass something that's good for the benefit of all of, like, you know, criminality. Like, to fight criminality because it's so corrupt. Like, they're able to bribe people. Even if you were able to bribe people as jurors and stuff like that, if you had concise evidence to prove that they really did commit those crimes, they would get, you know, arrested or executed no matter what, because you have proof. Like, there would have been fingerprints on the knife of the person that Irishman killed, you know, and all this other stuff. It wouldn't just be like, oh, this is just pure fantasy. You can't really use this stuff in the court of law. But if they were able to somehow, the Chief Justice was able to push this stuff with the permission of the government, then it would change, you know, how police do police work forever. And
Yeah, but
I think that's one of the reasons why all this stuff has been happening.
But they shouldn't have. They can't put an innocent man in prison for no reason.
I have a feeling that the professor was also innocent. That it was someone else who committed all those crimes with the hound.
Yeah, that might be. I mean,
that's probably why he was killed in the cemetery.
I think there was like something going on, like something really corrupt. I don't even know what to say.
All right, so anyway, guys and gals, that does it for Ace Attorney. Thank you again, Capcom, for providing a copy. The next live stream will be Monster Hunter Stories, brought to you by Silver Leo. I don't really know what the details of the stream is going to be, but I'm just going to use one of our old thumbnails and boot up the game. And we'll see you guys around, probably 7:30 or so. Maybe even 7:15. I don't need too long to set up stuff. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. We hope you had fun. And we'll be continuing with the cemetery 10 years ago tomorrow. In the Cemetery will be the name of the episode.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you later.
All right. See you guys in 20 minutes. God bless. Happy gaming. See ya.